Hi guys. I'm hoping that everyone can hear me. I am using my laptop tonight, so hopefully the video is working and the sound is working. If anyone can let me know in the chat, that would be amazing. But cheers. I'm a little bit nervous, guys. It's so weird. It's my first time going live on YouTube, which is so silly because I've been on here forever. Let's tip that down a little bit. And I've been live on Instagram, but it is my first live on YouTube. And I've been on YouTube for like 10 years. So that's a bit sad. So I see there's 3 of you waiting or viewing, I suppose. 1. Oh no, you've left me, guys. Can you hear me? Can someone let me know in the chat if you can hear me? Hopefully it's not updating, so I'm hoping that you can hear me. Hi guys. What are you doing this evening apart from watching the live stream? Do let me know if you can hear me because audio is fine. Thank you. I was worried. I want to keep talking to you guys if you can't hear anything that I'm saying. I won't blather too long, seeing as there's 6 of you here already. Thank you for joining me. Cheers. I've got a cocktail. I don't know if you guys have a cocktail. It's a Thursday night, but you know, can start the weekend early. But I'm going to jump into the Q&A so that you guys aren't just waiting around, seeing as you came for the start of the live stream. And for those of you who are also having a cocktail, tonight I'm drinking a Blue Lagoon because I'm at my parents-in-law house and they don't have rum. So a Blue Lagoon is very similar, but it has just vodka and it has lemonade. And I must say, it's not as good, but that's okay. Oh, we have quite a few people now. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining. All right, let's get started on the first question so that you guys aren't just sitting there listening to me blather on. I got a lot of the same questions when it came to vintage things. So I'm just going to answer one of those and it will cover all of the vintage questions, which is who is your biggest fashion inspiration? In terms of fashion, I would probably say, to be a big cliche, Marilyn Monroe. I really like her personal style. There's something about it that is really kind of understated and chic. But then I also love like Sophia Loren, Ava Gardner, and I grew up with Audrey Hepburn and Marilyn Monroe. I think that's kind of the standard answer for probably most people in the vintage community, or at least a majority. But the styles were classic. What can I say? But it's fun to just sort of go out and look at fashion magazines and try and find other people that weren't so famous from the era and, you know, come up with different outfits, which is what I really like about my job. That's why I like making videos, is because it pushes me to look for new things all the time and not settle into too much of a routine. So thank you. Eric has said Erica's eccentric nature. He is Rachel. If you guys have, any of you been following me for a while, you would have seen me do music videos with my friend Rachel, and Eric is her husband. He runs the channel Eccentric Nature, and he said, big congratulations on the 70K. Thank you, Eric. I couldn't have done it without you guys. I know some of you recently messaged me after I had to cancel the last one to say that you have been following me since I went from Australia to France, which is basically the start of my channel. So thank you so much. Thank you. It is you guys who have been following me through all the ups and downs and all the moves that have made it possible to get to 70K. So thank you very much. You guys have made running a YouTube channel so much fun. It's like, seriously, the best part is engaging with you guys. And a lot of what I share now has come because you guys have also taught me things. So it is really our channel. So love you guys. All right, let's get on to the second question. What is your top 3 favorite makeup brands? I've got to say Daphne Beauty. I've never actually met Daphne in real life. I really want to be able to go to Viva Las Vegas and visit her at her stand there and even go to her store. But we have done interviews and things for the Vintage Woman magazine. So I've done video chats with her, and she is just the most gorgeous person. She's also a vegan, so she really cares about the products being cruelty-free and not having too much of an impact on the planet. So I really respect that side of it. But then the products are actually incredible and really, really good, especially her lipsticks. I love them. So yeah, highly recommend. That's why you keep seeing her in all my videos, whether we do a collab one where I'm reviewing the product or whether I'm just doing my makeup. She pops up all the time. But top 3. So Daphne, I'm definitely not going to remember one that I wear all the time, but I'm trying to think of what's on my face right now. I love the brand ColourPop just because they have a lot of different colors, hence the name, but they release a lot of really cool eyeshadow packs that I really like. And my foundation and concealer is by Rare Beauty, which is like the Selena Gomez makeup brand. But again, it's all cruelty-free, vegan, but is a high-end makeup brand. So the finish on it is really, really nice and good for being on camera. Yeah. So I'm going to stick with those 3. If I think of anything else as I'm chatting, I would tell you if I'm like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing brand. But I love those 3. Daphne Beauty, Rare Beauty, and ColourPop. It's Thomas in the UK. Love your channel. Hi, Thomas. Hey, Tristan. Eric's got his and Rachel's little boy watching Tristan. Tristan has me all busy. Also, he's not watching. Fair enough. I mean, I don't really think this is the content for a 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 2-year-old. Yep. All right. So let's grab the next question. If you guys want to put questions in the chat as well, because obviously I'm answering these questions, but not necessarily everyone who asked a question prior to the live stream is going to be in the live stream. So I would like you guys to feel involved. So please ask me questions in the chat and I'll address those as I see them so that you're getting your questions answered as opposed to me just answering the questions of a random person you don't know. Astrid Alera. Oh, I didn't say who these questions are from. So I've shared Rusha Veransky. I'm going to massacre these names. Watch me do that now. Was asking about the fashion inspiration, but I got that question a lot. And it was Zach_0526 who asked me my makeup brands. And now we have Astrid Alera asking, I would love to know your favorite old movies and if you ever had a crush on actors in them. Favorite old movies. Again, I grew up watching Marilyn Monroe and Audrey Hepburn, so they were really my favorites. But if we're going to go back to movies that I have watched a million times, it's like The Sound of Music, Mary Poppins, and The Wizard of Oz. But I don't know if I had a crush on anyone in those. I was very young, so I don't know. No, I don't think so. Yeah, Captain Von Trapp wasn't really my vibe. I don't think that ever really crossed my mind. I was always interested in the way that the movie was presented, how beautiful and colorful they were, the costumes. That was always my thing. But my movie crushes, I'm afraid, are modern Hollywood people. I was like Viggo Mortensen when I was younger from Lord of the Rings. Like, hello. He's been in a few other movies where he's quite scary and not quite the same allure. But yeah, Viggo Mortensen, but not from a vintage movie, no. But in terms of vintage movies that I watch over and over again, these days it tends to be more, I will go through a particular actress. If I'm like researching for the channel, I'll go through and watch like a bunch of Sophia Loren movies or a bunch of Marilyn movies, or so I don't tend to revisit that much just because there is so much out there to be watching. And I also really like old art house movies, like old European cinema, or, you know, really art house things like German Expressionism, Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. I studied film and culture at university, so there was a lot of more avant-garde cinema that we watched as a result of that. So yeah, my taste is very eclectic. Tell me in the chat what movies you guys like watching. Are there ones that you watch again and again? And is it for the fashion or is it just something about the film that you love? I would really like to know. Astrid, you also love Lord of the Rings. So there you go. It was meant to be. Did you also have a crush on Viggo Mortensen or was it someone else in Lord of the Rings? Do tell. Oh, Nikita Martel, you've asked a question of something I want to touch on today. So maybe I'll jump to this and then come back to the questions that I've got from before on my phone. But Nikita has asked, your content is always inspiring and gorgeous, but was wondering if you had any things you'd like to do or have coming down the line. So there's some really big changes coming this year. And one of them is coming very soon. We are actually right in the middle of packing our apartment up because we are moving to Nice. I think I shared a few reels when we went for a visit there, but we were actually visiting to scope it out. I had previously visited, but Val, even though he's French, had never been to Nice. And we looked at both Marseille and Nice, and we decided Nice was more for us. It's very alluring being right on the border with Italy. So I really liked that. And for me, I fell in love with their amazing park. They have a park that sits up on top of a big cliff. It has the most amazing views, and it's just, yeah, there's something just really magical about it, apart from the views and photography session opportunities. It's also a great place to do sport and go running and things like that, which is something we like to do together. So excited. They've got a jazz scene, they've got a vintage scene, they have a vegan scene, all things that do not exist in Dijon. Don't get me wrong, Dijon is amazing. It's just not really the right place for me. I have been dying to leave, and I'm so happy. So thank you for the question, Nikita. That is the number one big thing that's happening. And along with that, I would like to shift my channel a little bit, not away from vintage, but because in Dijon, I haven't sort of gone out a lot. And as though some of you will probably know, I lost my dad in the last couple of years. So I have been somewhat of a hermit. I'm looking forward to sharing travel vlogs, to visiting vintage and antique fairs, vintage stores, doing meetups with other vintage people, and getting out and about a bit more and sharing that more on my channel. I'm really looking forward to that, and not just sort of filming sit-down videos in my room all the time. So I guess it sort of doesn't make a huge change for you guys, but it will make a really big change for how I go about creating my content. So I'm very excited. I'm excited to take you guys with me. Eric says, been trying to watch lots of Marilyn movies lately, but Bus Stop and Niagara haven't aged well. Yeah, now, I remember. So we, during the pandemic, as a group of friends, had movie nights, very kindly hosted by Rachel and Eric. And we watched quite a lot of mid-century, we watched a lot of musical theater films, and like, I'm trying now, of course I'm trying to remember any of the names of them, and none of them are coming to mind. I'm sure Eric will tell me in the chat, but so many of them, at the end of them, we had seen them before, and we watched them and we went, oh, that really didn't age well. I think that's so common with watching old movies, especially ones that maybe we watched when we were quite young, and maybe things went over our head a bit, and we revisit them as adults, and we just wow. How times have changed for the better. That's why whenever someone says to me, like, don't you feel like you grew up in the wrong era, or, you know, ladies that dress like you, if only you were like women were back then, or everything was like it was back then, I don't want to agree. That is not to say that no one at that time had forward-thinking ideas or was looking for change, but yeah, I think we've made good progress that I wouldn't want to go back on. Oh, the Thin Man movies. I'm just checking out your movie recommendations in the chat. This will get saved, so I'm definitely going to go back through and watch some movies. Oh, I love Pandora and the Flying Dutchman. That's coming from Nikita. Yes, I love that movie too. There's something so beautiful about that. All right, so I've got a question in the comments. Rye491 says, what music do you listen to? Do you like 50s and 60s music? I enjoy 30s and 40s ballads, big band music too. We have similar taste in music. I love everything prior to, I would say, the mid 70s. I'm probably going to like just about anything. After that, I start to get really picky. That is not to say I don't listen to modern music. I do, but it's very song by song, as opposed to just being like, I love everything about this. And I think for me, as a trained musician, one of the biggest pet peeves I have these days is like so many people out there making music, making a lot of money from making music, who don't know anything about music. And a lot of people, not everyone, there's plenty of very talented musicians out there, but these days a lot of people making music, and I miss the days when people were very, very skilled. I'll leave it at that. But I love mid-century music. I love all the different genres of jazz. I grew up with a dad who was obsessed with jazz. So I was listening to Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, Miles Davis, the Dave Brubeck Trio. Yeah, that's how I ended up getting into jazz as a musician. And yeah, that's my jam. And I love soul music, like 60s soul, Motown. Yeah, that's a lot of what's playing in our house. Val loves that stuff too, and he's getting a record collection together. So he tends to be our DJ in the house, and he's forever finding really unusual niche things. I should get him to share a playlist and I can share it with you guys. But yeah, thank you for that question. That was fun. If you can recommend anything music-wise in the mid-century that I might not have heard of, I would love to hear. Oh, Greatest Show on Earth. Oh, yeah. Oh, we did go through the old monster movies. Eric's just reminding me of what we watched on our movie nights. Yes. Oh, was it with you guys that did we all watch The House on Haunted Hill? That's is it the Ennis? Is it Ennis? The mansion in LA up near the observatory. There's like a really unusual sort of block built mansion up there that is in so many old Hollywood movies. And I think the movie I'm thinking of is The House on Haunted Hill, or something about Hill House haunting or something like that. Just it's so kitsch and not scary at all, but a lot of fun, like so many old horror movies are. I much prefer old kitsch horror movies than modern ones that actually try and scare you. I'm just not into it. Once you see the monster, it's not scary anymore. The Haunting of Hill House. Thank you. That's it. The skeleton in the basement that someone clearly just like threw on them from the side. Oh dear. So much fun. Actually, I'd like to watch more old horror. We didn't do Hill House. So we must have watched something else that then made me want to watch Hill House. And I can't remember what it was. We watched, what was it called? The Bell Cat. I'm really bad with names, guys. I can never remember anything off of the top of my head. But it was the one about the witch. It was a 60s movie, and it's something about Bell Cat book. I'm sure you're going to remind me, Eric. Someone else will remind me. I'm sorry, guys. But I loved that. And the fashion in that was incredible. Yeah. All right. I'm blathering as usual. Thank you for putting up with me, guys. I'm going to jump back to some of the questions on the list. I'm going to go to a YouTube one now. Amy Ellen 4322 said, "Where do you keep all your vintage clothes?" I rotate them out. We have been in a slightly bigger apartment because we've been staying in Dijon, where it's much cheaper than Paris or London or Melbourne or Nice and any of the other places you guys have seen me. So we had more rooms in the apartment we're in at the moment, but we're about to move into a 1-bedroom. So I have rented quite a large storage space that I'm going to try and set up kind of like a closet. But yeah, a lot of things in boxes seasonally that get switched out. And when you see me go through epochs, like at the moment, I'm doing more of an early 60s look. I tend to put everything from other eras away. So I'm not really doing 40s at the moment because I have a haircut. It's not going to do 40s. So put all my 40s stuff away and I get out what I'm using sort of at that time. And I go through kind of periods. And then I get over that and I put those in the boxes or the suitcases. So they're not, it's not as exciting and glamorous. I don't have some sort of giant closet, you know. I don't have a Carrie Bradshaw closet or anything like that. It's much, 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 much less glam, I'm afraid. Bell, Book, and Candle. That is the movie. Yes. Thank you to both Eric and Rye491. I recommend it. It's very cute. Again, very kitsch, not like few plot holes, not the greatest storyline, but just really fun. Just checking if anyone else has asked any questions. Again, for those of you who've joined since I said, please feel free to put any questions in the chat. I would happily answer them on the spot, so that you guys are getting your questions answered. What have I done? Okay, Leah Love 116 said, do you have a workout routine? Oh, she's got several questions. Do you have a workout routine? Does your vintage style ever spill over into your home decor furniture? Would you ever do a day in the life of a 40s, 50s, or 60s woman video? All really great questions. So let me start with the workout routine. I am someone who in my life has been really into sport. I used to do a lot of sport. It was a big part of my childhood and teenage years and my 20s. In the last couple of years, I have been working from home since the pandemic. Basically, I just work from home, which has severely impacted my lifestyle and my motivation. So my life has become very sedentary. And I do like yoga 3 times a week, and once in a blue moon I go for a run if I can make myself motivated. But I'm hoping moving to Nice will help with that, because my sport has always been related to the water and I really miss that. I find it very hard to be motivated to do things like going running. I'm more someone that if you take me to the beach, I can't help myself. I need it to not feel like I'm doing a workout and more to be getting fit whilst having fun. That's my vibe. Second question was, does your vintage style ever spill over into your home decor and furniture? Not so much, only because we have been renting furnished properties for such a long time and they don't tend to come decorated vintage. So we are moving to Nice because we're actually house hunting. We would like to purchase a house together. And once we do, I cannot wait for everything inside to be vintage. Val is not vintage. He doesn't dress vintage. He doesn't live a vintage lifestyle, but he really likes 1960s decor. So the man loves mid-century music and mid-century furniture. He's a keeper. So yes, eventually once we purchase our house, I will be sharing that content, decorating, renovating, all of the good vintage home and decor stuff. And the last question from Leah Love 116 was, would you ever do a day in the life of a 40s, 50s, 60s woman video? Yes, I would. And maybe that's something I can do more easily in Nice. I haven't been motivated to do that kind of filming in the last couple of years, but I'm feeling much more like getting back to kind of the more vlogging style videos again. So I love that idea. Maybe I will give that a go. I will investigate further. I'm going to jump into the chat again. So let me just have a quick read. Oh, I feel so special that Tristan knows it's me. Hi, Tristan. Hello. Love you. Kimber asks, hello, do you also read vintage books? Any favorites? Not sort of specifically. I read a really eclectic, I read eclectically is probably the better way of putting it. I'm trying to think. I mean, I'm reading a fantasy series at the moment that I think was written in the 70s, but I didn't pick it because it was written in the 70s. That is the, not Right Hope Wood, what's it called? Mythigo Wood series. Really great fantasy series. Highly recommend. It's sort of a mixture of mythology and psychology, I guess. It kind of explores grief or mental illness, or very subtly, you kind of don't know straight up that it's about that, depending on whether the protagonist is an adult or a child, because in each book is a different protagonist. But the idea is that they go into the woods and they become legends, literally. The further you go into the wood, the further back in time in relation to the mythology you go. So on the edge of the wood, say for example it's Robin Hood, it would be more modern iterations of Robin Hood, and the deeper you go would be going further back to the mythologies that perhaps were the foundations of Robin Hood. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's really good. Just trust me and read it. In terms of vintage books, I mean, I have read things. Nothing is popping into my mind immediately. Like, I believe I read some Truman Capote at some point. I like to go and read like real classics if something is sort of known to be an amazing piece of literature. I like to go and read it, and in that sense, I've read things that are quite old. But no, but if you have a recommendation, again, I would love to know. I'm just seeing if I missed any questions. Actually, I'm gonna jump to Charlene because she hasn't asked a question yet. So Charlene Morris asked, I would recommend Barbara Pym. Oh, it's not a question, but I will read your comment anyway. I would recommend Barbara Pym, Excellent Woman. That was written in 1953. Okay, I haven't heard of that one. Thank you. Rye491, you asked, do you have retro decor and artifacts in your home? I sort of answered that, but I do have some. I have my mum's old record collection. I've got like some lamps. It's mostly knickknacks and things that you see in the background of my videos. I tend to keep them in my filming area because we haven't moved into our sort of final home yet. I don't want to be buying stuff for the house and then it doesn't match when we finally get our place. So I've held off getting furniture and sort of large household items, but little trinkety knick-knack things, I've had lots, and they rotate out in the background of my videos, and a lot of them didn't change countries with me. So I had different things in Australia, then in England, and now here. Yeah. I'm just checking the questions again. Sorry to go quiet on you guys. I'm so used to filming myself and then editing the long pauses. So I'm trying to find the fine line between blabbering and falling completely silent and being really boring to watch. Let me go back to some of these questions over here. Amy Ellen 4322 asked, what is your favorite piece of clothing you own? My favorite piece of clothing of all time. Oh, that's really hard. I'm going to go with the one that I think has the best story, and that is when I was visiting LA back in 2015. I was in an Andrew Sister style group at the time, and we were there for a competition, and we went to Burbank, where there was a ton of amazing vintage stores, and we went into this one really tiny one that was just absolutely packed with gowns, and I found this sequined pencil dress, like sweetheart neckline, strapless gown with a big slit that was very clearly late 40s, early 50s. And when I tried it on, it fit like a glove. And then as I was taking it off, I saw inside it had a barcode that said Universal Studios. It's still in the dress. And I was like, I have to get this. Like, who wore this? It was a vintage dress as well. So it wasn't a reproduction. It was the real deal. I was thinking, like, who wore this dress or who was supposed to wear it? And then they picked a different dress for the movie. Like, who wore this? I want to know. I will never know. But I got the dress. And the best part about it is I thought it was going to cost me an arm and a leg. And at that time, I was totally broke, really, really broke. And we asked the lady how much she wanted for the dress, and she did a long pause and said, I don't think I can let it go for less than 40. So I got myself a movie studio sequined gown for performing in for $40 American. So that is my favorite vintage piece. And if you want to see the dress, it is in my Hollywood Bombshells at the Promethean video from a very long time ago, but it's in my music playlist, and you will see me in the black sequin dress in that video. So yeah. Where are we at? We're 30 minutes in already, guys. It goes so quickly. Thank you so much for joining. Is anyone else drinking a cocktail with me? I meant to cheers and celebrate 70K. It's the whole point of being here tonight with you guys. Thank you so much for those of you who weren't here at the beginning when I said that the channel would be nothing without you guys. I learned so much from you. I mean, look at the comment section. You guys share so much with me. So much of my research, my inspiration, and what I end up making for the channel comes from you guys. So it's a team effort, and I really, really appreciate it. And just thank you for making it possible for me to have just the best job in the world. I love you guys. So cheers. Here's to 70K. And if you're having a drink too, santé. That's what we say in France, santé or à la tienne, à la vôtre, because you're a group. It's really hard to drink out of that straw. All right. Next question. Try and find one from someone who I haven't already answered a question from. Actually, this is from Zach_0526. What's your favorite comics? Example, Archie comics, Betty and Veronica, or Katie Keene. I didn't really grow up watching comics. I was more of the era of like MTV and the Disney Channel in the morning. But I'm going to say Tintin. Someone gave me a Tintin comic. The irony of that, the irony of me ending up in front, what's a Belgian comic, but you know, they speak French, you know what I mean. Val kind of looks a little bit like Tintin, to be fair. Maybe that's my crush. Maybe, yeah. Instead of having a crush on an old Hollywood movie actor, I got a crush on Tintin, and then I found my Tintin here in France. And now I have Louis as well. I have my Tintin and my Snowy, who are not called, obviously Tintin is called Tintin in French or in Belgian, which is French, but you know, that's what they say in Belgium. But the dog is called, Val has told me a million times, what is the dog's name in French? He's in the room behind me, but he will not be able to hear me if I ask. I would love it if any of you guys know. That can be the quiz question for the day. If you can tell me the name of Snowy the dog from Tintin in French. Watch me remember halfway through answering another question. But yeah, I didn't really watch comics. I mean, I'm sure I was watching something as a teenager. It was ridiculous things like Marsupilami. I'm giving away my age now, but yeah. And like the cartoon, the weekly cartoons of Aladdin and various other classic Disney movies, but turned into TV series. Maybe I'm missing out. Should I be checking out Betty and Veronica? I have looked into that since I was an adult, because there was a vintage reproduction brand making clothing based on Betty and Veronica, and they seem really cool. So I should probably check it out more. Oh, Hugo Spritz. Yes, I kind of wish I was having a Hugo Spritz. I think that would be a bit nicer. This is very lollipoppy because it's lemonade and vodka, whereas the Blue Hawaii that I made in the video that I was supposed to do the live stream for has like pineapple juice and rum in it. It was really good. But yeah, this is refreshing. It's very hot here. It's like 30 plus degrees. Thank you for the questions, Nikita. Any music plans or anything that's been inspiring you? Music-wise, I've been so uninspired music-wise for so long. It's why I've really enjoyed doing the collabs with Rachel, because working with someone else has kind of made me feel motivated and excited. But I think I will come back to it. I'm just trying to decide whether or not I want to go back to sort of doing jazz shows and maybe corporate gigs, or whether or not I want to write some music. I think the most likely thing is that I will record an album or an EP or something, whether that's my own stuff or whether it's covers of jazz pieces. But I think recording will come before live performing, I reckon. because live performance is just such a commitment, and the amount of time it takes for me to run a YouTube channel, and I do TikTok and Instagram as well. Plus I want to get back to selling vintage, plus moving and looking for a house. I'm not sure that I'm going to have time to rehearse singing to be able to do corporate gigs where you need like 4 hours worth of songs. So that's, yeah, it's a lot of songs. So we shall see. But I will definitely be doing more collabs with Rachel, and hopefully maybe with Eau de Mon Chéri, because I freaking love that woman, and we're in the same country, and it does make things a bit easier. Kimber asks, why do you think people still find mid-century pop culture and fashion appealing? That's such a good question. This is something I think about quite a lot, and that I've talked to a lot of people in the vintage community about, because I think many people's response would be they grew up with their grandparents, and their grandparents they grew up in that era and they loved that era, and so it's like a connection with our grandparents. But that doesn't explain, why would they not be obsessed with what their grandparents were into? Do you know what I mean? So has it got something to do with the fact that our generation spent a lot of time with our grandparents, that we had a connection that was different to previous generations? That both our parents were working, maybe, so maybe we spent more time with our grandparents, or is it just that the mid-20th century had the best fashion and music, and they had cinema? That actually, thinking about it now, that seems very obvious, but the invention of film, it was at the turn of the previous century, and then the idea of celebrity was introduced to the world, and also the creation of the concept of individuality and marketing to the individual. For example, companies used to sell their products on the idea like, buy this pair of shoes, they will last you forever, it's the only pair you will ever need to buy, versus now they're like, buy this pair for this season, then buy this pair to go to a party, and forget the ones that we sold you last season, get some new ones because that style is out and this style is in. It's actually a pretty contemporary thing for people to create their personal style to reflect who they are inside, individualism. And I mean, I love it, but it is something that's been marketed to us. Here I am marketing to you again. Create your own vintage fashion style, make it your own. Fashion is a form of expression, but the reality is that's a pretty new concept in terms of consumerism. So maybe that's a big part of it, is the idea that we see celebrities and we want to recreate their looks and make it our own. I don't know. I would love to hear what you guys think. I'm what do you call it? Spitballing here. Is that the phrase? But that sort of makes the most sense to me, that, pushing the concept of celebrity and consumerism out to the masses at that time. So it's had a really lasting effect. I don't know. Let's discuss. Kimber says, yes, I agree about best fashion, music, and cinema. Me too. I think they just, we haven't topped it. That's all. And I mean, now a lot of the time, look at all the pop girlies at the moment. The Sabrina Carpenters, even Christina Aguilera went through her retro phase when she did the Back to Basics album. People just keep going back to that era as an inspiration, maybe with a twist for looking at it through a modern lens or a contemporary lens. But in terms of the aesthetic, I think that era really had the aesthetics down. Rye491, do you like the 20s flapper style? I do. I like it on other people. It's one of those styles, I think, because I'm a pear-shaped girly. I got the hips and the booty, so the straight up and down cut don't work for me. I got muscly legs. Yeah, the bottom half of me is too chunky for a 20s flapper style to be flattering on me. But I tell you what, when I see people rocking that look, there are some vintage creators out there who look absolutely freaking amazing and do the most amazing makeup and stuff as well. I wish I could rock that. But that's why you never see me in 20s stuff. It's just, I need a waistline. I need a defined waistline. So yeah. I'm just going back through the comments while waiting because things have passed me by. Any other questions, guys? For those of you the people I'm sure have come and gone, is there any questions? I'm going to jump back over here and check the ones from Instagram. I got one from Andros 1994. Do you have any tips as to how I can ease my friend's obsession with her cat? I can't help you there. If you knew me personally, you would know I'm obsessed with my dog. So I don't think there is any helping people who are obsessed with their pets, because we have a good reason to be obsessed, because they're adorable and they're our whole world. And yes, it's very annoying to everybody else, but that's how it is. Surely I'm not alone. Is anyone else obsessed with their pets? Is anyone else annoyed by how obsessed their friends are with their pets? I think we can accept it. That's all right. I can accept that people find it annoying that I talk about Louis all the time. I'm giving up on this straw because I have made a zero amount of dent in this. Kimber says, I learned yesterday that public schools in America still required girls to wear dresses until maybe the mid-60s. By the 70s, almost all girls wore pants. The public schools. Wow. This sounds very familiar. I feel like my mum told me stories of them measuring their skirts when she went, when she was in high school. But she would have been in high school in the, I suppose, would have been the 70s. She was born in the 50s, so early 70s. But Australia was behind. I mean, America would have been ahead of us, I would assume. Australia, it took some time for some pretty big changes to happen in Australia. So by the 70s, almost all girls wore pants. This is giving me flashbacks to high school when our school uniform, the girls had to wear skirts. And I became house captain when I was in my final year of school. And the number one thing that people petitioned for me to do as house captain was to bring in pants for girls. So I did. And then no one wore them. That's not true. There was one girl who was also a singer, Emma. I remember you wore the pants and you thanked me because it was freezing. Our school was on the top of a hill and it was freezing, and everything, instead of being wool, even though it was a private school, unlike all the other private schools, all of our uniform was synthetic and it was freezing. So the pants were needed, but apparently they didn't look attractive enough or something. I don't know. So it was still stuck in the 70s, apparently. Nikita, I am totally that cat person. I'm obsessed. Hey, I think embrace it. Like, it's your cat, it's your life. Rachel, hi. You're making me want a cocktail, but I'm being good and having a herbal tea. That's very good of you. I'm having a herbal tea. This is a lemon tea. I've been hanging out for this cocktail, I'm not going to lie. It's hot here. In France, there is not never. I mean, I'm sure there are people with aircon and fans, but for the most part, there's no fans, there's no aircon. There's this concept of acclimatizing. You should acclimatize to everything. It's good for you. Your body will acclimatize. I'm from Australia. It is hotter there than it is here. I'm not acclimatizing. Give me the freaking aircon. Milou! Thank you, Astrid. Astrid Alera. I'm not sure if that's your real name or not. I always just default to saying the start of their handle as their name, but it could well not be, as many people in the Finnish community are not remotely what their handle is. But thank you, Astrid Alera. It is Milou. Yeah, cute. You need some sort of prize. Cheers. Hi, Rosie Crystal. Hello, first time chatting with you. Hello, welcome. I definitely need to go live more because I'm really enjoying the back and forth of this. It is much more fun. I used to go live on Instagram weekly during the pandemic, and I loved that. It was nice to connect with people. And of course, I had Patreon. I got quite close with the people over on Patreon, and I miss that. I need to bring that back in some way. I know we have a members option here on YouTube that I never investigated, so maybe we need membership. Would you guys want me to create a membership option, or would you prefer Patreon? Would you prefer I went live regularly? Well, let me know. All right, I'm going to go back to the questions. How are we doing for time? I'll probably chat for another 15 minutes, guys, and then I'm going to go have a swim in the pool because we're staying at Val's parents' house, and it's not often that I get access to a pool, and make some dinner and have another cocktail. Oh, this is a cool question. Rusha Varanchi, again, I'm sorry, I know I'm massacring that, says, if you weren't dressing vintage, what style would you wear? And congrats on 70K. Thank you. Look, it's not a style that would look good on me, I don't think. I don't think it would suit me. Maybe that's just because I see myself as having the vintage aesthetic, but whatever. I look at the fashion girlies. I follow quite a few of them on Instagram and TikTok who are really into it's contemporary fashion, but they're really into like bold patterns and colorful styles, and it's so cool. And I really wish that I could pull that off. And some of it has even got like the doll kind of aesthetic about it a bit, like the baby doll dresses with like lots of frills and stripy tights and polka dots and flowers and like flower shaped glasses and things, bold hats with prints all over them. So cool. Yeah, I think if I wasn't dressing vintage, I would try and make that work somehow. I think that's what I like the 60s for that reason, in that it's got the vintage silhouette still, but it has a lot of really cool colors. Like you get neons in there, you get pastels, you get, all sorts of things that are really fun. I like fun colors. It says the girl sitting here in a black outfit, but I like me a pop of color for sure. Is anyone else secretly following a totally different style in terms of influences online? Is there what are you guys like watching other than the vintage fashion stuff? I would love to know, and drop the handles in the chat. Maybe I'll want to follow them. I'm trying to think of some examples. Wait, I think one girl that I've been following for a long time is called A Fashion Nerd. She had a blog for a long time and then went on, down the Instagram and TikTok track. She's got kids and stuff now. She's got a little girl that she dresses in the coolest. They have like matching outfits. Oh, it's so cute. But yeah, she's like really, really avant-garde, totally out there style. Stuff that you wouldn't think anyone leaves the house in. And I don't mean that as an insult. It's just, it's so out there, but she looks so freaking cool. I love her. And there's an actress that I've been following recently who's become really big, and I'm trying to think of her name. She just stands in front of her closet and puts outfits together, and she'll just pick like one piece and then build an outfit around that. And of course, I can't think of her name, but she's very cool. Who else? I'm trying to think of other people who have that kind of like colorful aesthetic. Ms. Maverick Muse, she's sort of like half in the vintage community, half in the modern girl camp. But I really love how she mixes current fashion with vintage fashion. She's got the Carrie Bradshaw vibes in that she can, she literally paired like a sports top with a tutu the other day, and it looked so good. And then like a 40s glamour hairdo. She rocked that. Yeah. Nikita, love a membership, but I heard another creator mentioning the percentage between YouTube and Patreon. Is that in terms of how much it costs you guys or how much they pay the creator? I'm intrigued. I mean, I'm sure I could look this up for myself, but I'm just intrigued by what you mean specifically by that. I didn't find any of it to be particularly lucrative, to be honest. What kept me going with it was not at all the money. I think I was making like $100 a month, maybe. from Patreon, which is wonderful. I mean, making 100 a month is a definite great bonus. But at the time, it was the pandemic and I had lost my job. So I was hoping that maybe it would be a little bit more lucrative than that. But what kept me making Patreon content was just how much I freaking love the people on there, in all honesty. Ooh, Kimber, what's your favorite vintage Hollywood gossip or scandal? That is such a good question. I really love, what is the podcast? I was listening to a podcast at one point and it was specifically about this, but it was more focused on murders or the untimely demises of people in Hollywood. Of course, there is the one that is named after the song As Time Goes By. As Time Goes By. Is that what it's called? You Must Remember This. I had to go through the lyrics of the song. The podcast is called You Must Remember This. That is fantastic for all of the old Hollywood scandals and things. But because of that, I listened to one about the actress, the young blonde actress who she didn't have a massive career, but she's the one that fell off or got pushed off, or, you know, the scandal with the Hollywood sign. And that led me to another podcast, which was specifically about murders and scandals and, you know, tragedies of old Hollywood. Is it in my podcast collection? Because you guys probably really like it. And I'm sure I've saved it. I hope I have. Let's see. There is one called Shocking, Lurid, Tawdry, A History of American Scandals. That's quite good, but they're much shorter. Oh no. Where is my library? Shows all. Hollywood crime scene, maybe? I feel like that wasn't it though, but that does sound right. Maybe it was the Shocking, Lurid, Tawdry one. But I mean, the best podcast of all time, if you're into mid-century stuff, is You Must Remember This. It's just so broad in the best way, in that it goes through epochs and themes, a bit like a YouTube channel would, in the sense that it, you know, will focus on one particular concept and then look at different actors or different scandals or different films under that one theme for several episodes. It's just really, really addictive and so well researched, and just, yeah. If you're into the gossip, the old Hollywood gossip. But in terms of your question, Kimber, wow, I went on a tangent there. Sorry. In terms of your question, my favorite, I mean, that's really hard. But the one that's popping into my head right now is just when I was looking into Sophia Loren's life for the Hollywood Icon Suite series that I kind of half started on here. Man, that girl, holy cow, that girl's life was, her romantic life, all over the place, very scandalous. And also she apologized for nothing. And I really appreciate that about her. When you watch interviews with her in later in her life, she stands by everything she did, and I respect that. Charlene, I loved your Patreon. My favorite was the vintage recipes. Oh, thank you, Charlene. I miss you guys. You know, like I've tried, you guys pop up on my various platforms and we chat, but it's not the same. The regularity of our chats and like hanging out together was so fun. I miss that. I think Sophia Loren wrote a book, would be exciting. She wrote a book? How did I not know about this? I would love to read that, because there is something about her personality. She is a very self-assured person, or at least she comes across that way in her interviews. So I feel like she'd probably reveal quite a lot in her book, because she doesn't feel embarrassed by any of it. And I think that's kind of wonderful. And maybe because also she's European, like she's Italian. So, you know, things that were maybe American actors would have, or actresses would have been like, oh, I can't say that. That doesn't look good for my career or whatever. She'd be like, just living my life, baby. Have to check it out. In fact, I'm going to look it up now. Let's see. Let's find out together. Sophia Loren book. I have heard of this actually. I think I saved it in my audiobooks and then never got around to it. I have so many audiobooks saved, guys. But then I end up listening to the You Must Remember This podcast, but it's called Yesterday, Today, Tomorrow, My Life, Sophia Loren. Maybe we need to read it together. Maybe I should read it and make a video about it. How long is that going to take me? That sounds like it would be fun, though. Is this the one? Were you looking up the same thing, Charlene? Charlene? I'm calling you Charlene simply because I used to babysit a little French girl whose name was Charlene, spelled exactly the same way, but she's French. So I'm sorry that I keep mispronouncing your name, Charlene. Yeah. How are we doing? We've got 5 minutes left, guys. I think I've sort of, looking at the questions, there's more questions, but a lot of them that I've got from YouTube and Instagram are kind of the same question over and over again. So I don't want to keep answering the same ones. I'm just going to check in case there is anything that I missed. What's my favorite decade? That's from Amy Ellen 4322. My favorite decade has always been the late 50s, early 60s. That kind of period I've always been drawn to those movies, to that style. I feel like that suits me best. The haircuts, the makeup, the fashion. I just feel like I feel at home in sort of wearing that every day. Most of the other decades that I explore on my channel, I'm exploring for my channel and I really enjoy it, but it's more creative than it is what I genuinely wear in my everyday life. This is how I dress in my life. So I'd say that's my favorite era. It's not a particular decade, but yeah, late 50s, early 60s. Adore. Absolutely love it. Yes. So are we all going to go and read the Sophia Loren book? Is that what we're doing with our weekend? I might listen to it as an audiobook. I'm probably going to get through it faster. But that sounds like fun. Any last questions before I go? I will sign off in a few minutes, but I would be happy to answer one final question. And while I'm waiting and watching the chat, just again, thank you. This was really fun. How do you guys feel? Should I go live more regularly? This was much easier than I anticipated. I had seen other content creators say that the YouTube live thing was a pain in the bum, which is kind of why I hadn't done it before. But they seem to have ironed those kinks out well and truly. You would hope after how long YouTube's been going for. But definitely go live again. Okay, I will. I'm enjoying this. I like a little group hang. And if I go live, what would you like me to do in the live? Because I think it might get a bit boring. Like it gets a bit redundant, I think, in terms of questions. It's just me talking about myself, which I find that boring. No, I don't find it boring. Like, I had a lovely time tonight, but I don't know. I like interacting with you guys. So is there something that do you want me to do, like a hair tutorial or do my makeup or I don't know, a cooking video, or is there something you would like me to do when I go live that we can kind of do together, engage more? I would love to hear your suggestions because yeah, the hang factor is my favorite part. Hazel, hi from Leeds. Hi. Yay. Okay, you guys want to see me go live more. All right, this sounds really fun. Hair or cooking would be fun. All right, well, if I'm going live on a semi-regular basis, then both of those things can get checked off of the list. Hair is easy. I can definitely chat while doing that. Cooking will be a nice challenge. We'll see whether or not I can manage to cook and chat. The chatting will happen. It's just whether or not I burn the meal. Yeah. I got a whole bunch of cookbooks recently. I'm going on a whole new tangent 1 minute before I end the live, but I got a whole bunch of French cookbooks and I've just filmed 2 reels to put out for you guys from some 1960s French recipes that I'll be sharing this week. But there's like pastry books, everyday cooking books. I've got one from the 1940s. I have a vegetarian cookbook from the 1930s. That was a shock. I did not expect to find that, so I nabbed that immediately. And then these recipe cards from the 1960s that I've made a couple of recipes from so far, and they're good. So You're giving Natalie Wood today. Hair and makeup will be fun. Oh, yeah, that would be really fun. All right, we'll do our hair and makeup together. That would be really cool, especially if it's in the evening. Could also be like hair setting. We could be doing, you know, our rollers together, our pink curls together. That could be fun. An evening routine, maybe. I still have, someone was asking, was it you, Charlene, that asked for me to read out of, I feel like it was someone from Patreon asking me to read out of my grandmother's beauty book. So I can do more things from the beauty book. We have options, guys. But anyway, I will blather if I don't say goodbye. So a big thank you to all of you for joining me this evening. Cheers. I should drink my cocktail that I never got through. I hope you're having the most wonderful Thursday night, and I can't wait to catch up with you guys next time. I will see you in the next video, and I will see you in the next live. Bye.